Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, family, that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life very much on your own terms. As always, a special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon. We do have way more information on there, more shows, as well as the shows from our secondary channel, Dr. Mumbi Spiritual Show, and books, a lot of exclusive content. So definitely consider supporting us there. And we have actually started an advertising promotion. So if you have a service or a product that you'd like to get out there, something that is alternative, something that is new, so for the new earth family, for 5D reality, get in touch with me, Dr. Mumbi, at drmumbishow.com. This could also be an Ask Dr. Mumbi, because I did get this email from like 2-3 people. So apparently the Human Rights Watch has released a report, and let's remember, Human Rights Watch is Babylon, criticizing China, saying that there's a lot of, despite China trying to promote themselves as, solidarity forever with Africa in terms of fighting racism and fighting Western hegemony and bringing Babylon down and liberating Africa, on the ground, the situation was quite different. And they talked about how they'd been following China since, I don't know if you remember that story, where there was this young man who had gone to Malawi and he got some young children to speak down on themselves. I think they were saying where, I don't know, I can't remember, but it got a lot of news. And the Chinese guy was actually jailed in Malawi for like 12 months. So Human Rights Watch has kind of been following the story since then. I think that happened a couple of years ago. And they say that there's such a heavy racist tone on Chinese internet. I know there's a lot of, African and African American YouTubers in China who talk of that, who show different sides of China. But the actual report was talking about how there was an especially high demonization of men, where, there was a lot of anti-racism rhetoric. Black men were portrayed as the criminals and the killers and the ones who were messing up China. And, interracial marriage was being highly criticized and, talked down upon, and all these things. And the reason I'm even sharing this, family, is because now that we are the ones who are rising, so we don't care. It's like now you're the most popular child in school, or you're the captain of whatever. You don't care who likes you, who doesn't like you. The only ones who should be concerned are the ones who are living in China. But here in Africa, whether China likes us, whether China doesn't like us, it's really not here nor there. And if you understand how spirit works and who we are as spiritual beings, you will know that we killed that narrative of China taking over Africa years ago. There was so much information that was brought up. And I know there's been all rumors and allegations that certain stories are deleted, are, put in the background, are paid not to be published. But it's neither here nor there, because we're in spiritual time. Africa is the new head of the world, whether you see it or not. That is what is happening in the spiritual realm, and sooner or later, it will manifest itself physically. So we don't care about whether you like us or not. But I think it's important for us now to become aware of why the world created this anti-Black propaganda, why they made us the most hated in the world. Because if you've lived anywhere in the world, no one gets along. In Europe, the French hate the Germans hate the Spanish hate the British. Asia, same thing. No one's getting along, family. So there's no harmonious thing, but the one narrative that they all seem to jump onto is, if you want to rule the world, you have to oppress the kings and queens of the world, the ones who are supposed to be in control. If you control them, then you control the world. And now we're seeing it as resources. And you see China 20 years ago, family, and I'm not standing up for China. China said, yo, we're sick and tired of being poor. They were a third world country with a massive population. And then they were tricked into the one-child policy, which is messing them up right now. Because now they're trying to get their people to have more children and it's not working. But anyway, those are stories for other days. Those are their stories, actually. China was like, we are not going to be poor again. And they came up with this revolutionary, whole, like this revolutionary 10-year plan or whatever. But what they looked at is, how did Babylon get into power? How did Babylon become this massive global force? And they copy-pasted, the way they copy-paste those iPhones, the way they copy-paste those Gucci bags, they copy-pasted, family, the formula of Babylon. And one of the key stones of the formula of Babylon in taking over the world was controlling Africa. It was all about, if you control Africa, you control the world, because all the natural resources that the world needs are in abundance here. They are in other places, but they're in abundance here. And it's like a never-ending supply, because we are the diamonds. We are the gold. As long as we are here on the motherland, those things stay. Which is why it was more about colonization rather than an extermination agenda like what they did in the Americas. Stories for other days. So China has created a hostile environment at home to generate this warlike spirit against the Africans. They're this, they're that, they're terrible. Not condemning, because this is what the report was saying, like China has refused to condemn or even try and curtail the racist rhetoric in China. And they studied the Mzungu and they said, hey, even us, you see the way they take aid. So they're oppressing. Their whole thing is to control Africa. So they have their military presence everywhere. That's why you saw China sending the military into Africa. Then they were like, okay, so, and then you protect the key places, okay. Then you put in your presidents, okay. Then the next thing we're seeing the African Union being built by China. Then there was this whole, now they want to call it allegations. You know, they're changing the truth, right? They're trying to constantly change the narrative. Where they said that the African Union had been bugged and that every day at 2 a.m., there'd be like a massive download of all conversations, all interactions, all faxes, all emails, everything from the African Union to somewhere, I think Shanghai or somewhere, I'm not sure where. And they copy-pasted even how the Mzungu treats us, where they'll smile in our face, and yet they're the ones who are the cause for everything. Our poverty, our this, our that. And they stay being the cause. And to our ancient ones and our ancestors, when they look into this situation, it's like we're in a war situation where we're being robbed from, our natural resources are being constantly taken, the leaders that mean anything to us are being, bribed, blackmailed, all kinds of things happening to them. This would be actually a season of war. But instead, we're stuck trying to feed ourselves, trying to clothe us, trying to take care of this vehicle. So China learned and was like, okay, so language is another one. Here, I see in France, everyone speaks French. In the former British colonies, in the French colonies, they speak French. In the former British colonies, this is another way to spread our culture. Next thing, you're seeing all these linguistic schools opening across Africa. All of a sudden, I even remember that time when I was reporting, I think it was 3-4 years ago, when I was reporting about how China was being introduced into South Africa. It was coming to Kenyan primary schools. I wonder what happened with that project. That's why I say family. The role of the alternative news and the citizen media right now, and the YouTubers like I, is to dismantle the narrative so it doesn't hit the ground. And so it benefits. It's not about love and hate. We got to stop being so emotional, family. It's about interests. The whole world is playing chess and they've only taught Africa how to play checkers. Or they've tried to tell us we can only play checkers, there's no chess that's being played here. So any move you see China making, they are copying what Babylon did. But you see, it's going to work against them now because Africa is taking the leadership of the world. And it's not going to be like, actually, now China is replaced by, like the divided states and the former colonialists are now replaced by China. That's not how it's going to happen. Somehow, Africa is just going to emerge as the new global superpower. Whether you believe me or not, whether you know this or not, is not my business. Because it's going to happen and it doesn't matter how we feel about it. It's beyond us. It's above our pay grade. If I can say, well, not all our pay grades, but this is what's coming in. And if you're not in the right frame of mind to receive your inheritance as a melanated person, you will be disinherited. So focus on self-family. Give your most positive, uplifting vibes to the liberation of the motherland, which is ongoing, to the spiritual rescue of the motherland, which is ongoing. And when you hear, oh, these people hate us, it's just a note to self. Can never trust those ones. Okay, that's how you really feel. It's good. It's actually beautiful how we've been able to see. Sorry, family, a little gecko just. How we've been able to see how people really feel about us. And as the leaders of today, the craziness we've had to endure in our yesterday's family is what is going to transform the leadership of Africa over the world. The Africa being at the head of the world. Africa is the new super, however you want to put it, is what is going to make this 1,000 years of the golden age. Because we've been through it. We've learned from that. And it was so dark that it brought back ancient gods. The Most High heard us on his throne. But those are stories for the spiritual channel family. Yes, we have revived this channel. We had taken a hiatus where we were on Dr. Mumbi's spiritual show. So definitely make sure you're still subscribed here. Go ahead and please subscribe to the other channel where we're talking about the spiritual restoration of our people. And we give a lot of information, tips, insights on how you can move into living a more sophisticated, more pleasurable, more abundant life. And it's not prosperity gospel. This is the real deal. TUKO PAMOJA.